VoyMonk vlog number 52. Today's vlog I wanted to talk about community because it's everywhere around. It's everywhere you look. I think as far back as the 80s and 90s, one of the things that was probably pretty pronounced, and I'm going to kind of rip off a movie called Talk Radio, the Last Neighborhood. I think that was one of the lines in there. But anyways, the medium of talk radio was kind of viewed as a bit of a community before social media and a lot of what we know today and that sort of thing. I mean, of course, there was TV and that sort of thing, but as far as community that kind of extended beyond borders and confinements and that sort of thing to a smaller degree. You had nationally syndicated radio shows and things like that too. A few off the top of my head I can think of is Coast to Coast with Art Bell, which was an overnight radio show that was extremely popular in the late night and the midnight hour, which is actually my favorite hour. And when I usually listen to it when going to and from wherever I would be, usually work and that kind of thing. And I loved it. If you don't know what talk radio is, or not talk radio, but Coast to Coast with Art Bell, it's now done by a guy named George Noory, I believe, if it's still on. And basically it just, it talks about a lot of conspiracies and UFOs and things of that nature. But it was a community nonetheless. And it wasn't the first community, but it was definitely probably one of the more pronounced because at around the time that it was really popular, which was thereabouts the early mid 90s, and then of course going towards the 2000s, a lot of the concerns by some of those in the community was about Y2K, the year 1999. When it went from 99 to 2000, a lot of people believed that computers were going to have some kind of bug or some kind of glitch that was going to wipe out a lot of data and information and send most of our governments and a lot of agencies into chaos, and banks would maybe shut down and no longer be able to do what they do and that kind of thing. And so, it was one of the ongoing themes in the mid-90s because, 1999 was right around the corner. And the reason that I bring that up is because, today we have communities that center around a lot of different things, whether it's entertainment, for social thing, to just everything along the landscape. I'm sure you can imagine if you're listening to this. But the thing of it is that I kind of stopped to think about what community means to me and what community has become to mean over the years. There's a lot of commercialization that's happened. It's obviously progressed from what was talk radio back in the 70s and 80s to now the internet, and you've got like Meta and a few different places and stuff like that, forums and that kind of thing that people can populate into. I think Discord, which I've never actually done, to Twitch, to live streaming. There's just a lot of not only content, but there's a lot of community. And so I thought about what community means to me in terms of a lot of this, because what, ultimately this channel, I hope as it progresses can turn into is a community. For me, I would like to have a community of people like myself, boring people that, talk about their interests that don't have anything to do with what usually gets covered in a lot of places, like sports or criticisms about specific, or politics and that sort of thing, but just something where people can experience and share life without having to have makeup or put themselves up or put themselves on as being anything other than who they are. And so when I think about what community is, meant to me, and what I think about community is, I think one of the things that kind of is inherent in community is that, and like I said, in the 80s and 90s, talk radio was considered the last neighborhood or whatever. I don't know. I think of the internet and social media as the last country for betterment, and it's a community, but I think of it as, because you can cross boundaries, countries, and borders and things like that, as I've said, and you can come together with people who have like-minded ideas and beliefs and thinking and things of that nature, for good or bad, whether, psychologically you view it as one or the other. But to me, community, that's what community means best to me. And I think sometimes what community can mean, especially as far as in the commercial sense, like, Facebook and, other online social media networks and that kind of thing, I think they can mean sometimes expectations. They can be places that, at least in my view, in my mind, the thing the internet was supposed to kind of be without, which are the limitations of whatever your background is, where you came from, what you looked like in real life, or what your life was actually like. This was kind of the medium that you could stretch across those things, and you could be heard, or you could be seen, or you could, kind of be yourself, which I think ultimately is not the way what it morphed into. I think in some ways it kind of became a replacement for television and marketing, and ways to, I don't know, sometimes make people feel a certain way about who they are, or who they were expected or supposed to be. And this place here is definitely something that, as far as, like I said, creating a community, is not at all what I want it to be. Like I said, I want this to be the place for the boring people, the people that just enjoy life, the people that are experiencing life in all different kinds of ways and want to share their passions and share what they have to say or think and experience with one another. So that's what, to me, community means more than anything else. And so, yeah, going forward, I think that's going to be the thing that I want to focus on mostly on this vlog number 52. Anyways, so that's going to be it for this vlog. Until next time, take care.